So hi guys, we're going to be discussing a basic way to apply eyeshadow, a beginner friendly technique. So the first thing, you want to look at your eye space. This is my eye space. So if you look straight into the mirror and you find out that you can't see this lid here at all, you can't see it, it means you have hooded eye. If you can see this lid but your brow bone, your brow area is coming forward more than your lid, it means you have deep set eye. So a deep set eye is when you place a pencil or whatever on your brow area and the pencil is not touching your lashes, is not touching the brush. It means you have a deep set eye. But if you have hooded eye, when you place your brush, instead of your brush touching your brows, it's going to be touching the fold here. So that is how you basically kind of understand what type of eye shape you have. So when it comes to placing eyeshadow, you want to look at your eye area. For me, I can see my lid here. Even when I look straight into the camera, I can see that my eyelid is visible. This is my eyelid here, from here to this part. This is what is called eyelid. So around this part here, you want to look for where your crease is. I'm sure you guys have heard this a lot of time. Place a darker shade or a matte eyeshadow in your crease area. So if you're wondering where your crease is, this is a simple way to know where your own crease is. Start from your lid here and start pressing your brush or your lid till you get to your brow bone. But immediately before you get to your brow bone, you'll be able to see where your lid is. So once you start pressing it like so, immediately when you're getting to your crease, it start going in. Your brush starts going in. That is where your crease is. And this is the part that will give your eyes a good dimension. So when you place a matte deep eyeshadow in that part, a darker shade that is 1, 2, 3 shade darker than your actual skin, depending on what type of eye look you're going for, automatically this part goes inside. It's just like when you're highlighting and you're contouring. So when you highlight, you bring forward. When you contour, you push backward. So that's just how you can understand when it comes to placing of eyeshadow. And you can go with whatever style, but just to know that your crease, whatever color you're placing on your crease, especially if you're going with the classic eyeshadow look style, your darker shade should be here. This side here is what you apply your matte eyeshadow shade. It's usually like 1 to 2 shades darker than your actual skin. So when you place a lighter shade here, right, this part automatically comes forward. And when you place a deeper matte shade here, automatically this go inward. You also have the outer V corner of the eyes. This part here, if you're working with different shades of eyeshadow and you're working with different colors of eyeshadow, note that the darkest shade of eyeshadow you're going to be placing is going to be at the outer part here, the darkest of all. Then the second to the darkest color is what you will put in your crease. Then any other color will be lighter than this one that I mentioned. So this is a basic and a professional eyeshadow palette. As a beginner, you can make use of this eyeshadow palette. As a professional, you can also make use of this eyeshadow palette. So when you are looking for different texture of eyeshadow, you can get them here. So we have the one that is metallic. I'm going to swatch it so you see. So this is shimmer. Can you see? It's a metallic eyeshadow. And when it comes to matte eyeshadow, this is the one that has no shine in it. Can you see? It has no shine in it compared to the rest of this one. When it comes to working with deep colors at the outer part of your eyes, if you're going to be working with these colors here, let's say you're working with 1, 2, 3, and 4. So this is darker than this one. So I'm going to be using these 4 colors to create a classic bridal eyeshadow look. I'm going to first of all go ahead and use this one. This one will be on my lid. This will be in my inner part and my brow bone area if I'm going to be applying it. Then this color here, which is the medium color, and it's not the darkest color, is going to be in my crease. And this being the darkest one is going to be at the outer part of my eye. So that is how you place it. But in other videos, in our subsequent videos, I'm going to be coming up with different type of eyeshadow look and how to, you know, change colors. So this one I'm giving you is for a classic eyeshadow look. The next step is when you're applying your eyeshadow, you need a primer. The primer is what will stand as a barrier, just like you apply a primer on your face before your foundation. It is a barrier. It stands as a barrier, like a middleman between the eyeshadow you're placing and your lid. So for people that have oily lid naturally, this primer will not allow the oil to seep through to the eyeshadow. And also this primer allows your eyeshadow to pop. So we have, traditionally, eyeshadow primers are usually white, but we have some that like creamy colors, off white and all that, and to the point that a lot of people now start using concealer. So whatever works for you is fine, but let me quickly give you a difference between using a white eyeshadow primer and a concealer. So if you use a concealer that is in your shade, just know that it's not going to make the eyeshadow pop like if you use a white concealer. It will make the eyeshadow pop a lot more. But if you're doing a neutral soft look, you can use a concealer that is one shade lighter than your skin. But if you're using like colorful eyeshadows like blue, green, red, you want to use a typical white eyeshadow primer. I'm going to be tapping into this eyeshadow. This is 2 shades darker than my actual skin. So look at that. I'm placing this here to create a depth, and also this helps to create a tiny nose, pointy nose. So I put the eyeshadow here to serve as my transition color. So this will create a depth, and it will also serve as a transition color. So when you place your crease color, remember the crease color we talked about, and you blend it into this one here, it's going to blend out effortlessly. Like I said, you don't have to necessarily use this same shade of powder, and you don't have to use a powder. You can use an eyeshadow that works well for your skin tone, but note that whatever color you're placing here should be a flesh tone color. That's a powder preferably. And if you are using it in eyeshadow, if you are picking the color from eyeshadow, make sure it's like brown, light brown. So depending on how your skin tone is, if you are dark, then you want to use someone that is dark, using this shade on them will be light. So it's better you go like 2 shades or 3 shades depending on the skin tone. So I'm blending this really well to my brow bone area to create that dimension, and I'm also bringing it down. This is the benefit of using a flesh tone color. So the next step is to go ahead and use what I have left in my brush, the primer, to blend my lid out. I'm using this shade on my lid, and I'm going to tap that with my finger. You don't have to use your finger, you can use a brush. If you use a brush, tap onto the lid. So after placing that on my lid, I am going into a deeper shade of eyeshadow. So I'm going to be using the same powder here on my crease, and I'm using a different brush. So this is going to concentrate the color a lot more in my crease. And I'm also using this color to blend out the lid color. So the reason why this color is showing a lot darker than the first, because I actually used the same powder for the first application. The reason why it's showing a lot different is because of the switch in brushes. The brush I use for the first one is a lot fluffier than this one. This is the first brush that I use, and this is a lot fluffier than this one, you can see. So this will pack more of any eyeshadow you use it on, and will make it more, pigmented, while this will just take a little bit of it because of its fluffiness. But this brush is dense, and it is pencil dense brush, so it fits in really well into the crease area, and it distributes the color a lot more pigmented and darker than the first color because of how the brush is shaped. So you also want to put that at the back of your mind when you are placing eyeshadow, and you can already see how this gave that nice dimension, and it added that depth to my eye. You see that this part of my eyelid, the eyeshadow pushed it in a lot more than how it was without the color. So I'm going to go ahead again and use this same brush, pick a darker shade of eyeshadow, which is this one here, and this will add depth to the outer V of the eye. So I'm just maintaining the color on this part, So I'm going to put most of the color here, and I will take it out a bit, but it's not going to go inward. What I'm doing here is I'm blending both colors together. The excess of this is to cancel out any harsh line between the two colors, so one will not be able to tell where the color starts from and where it meets. When you place your color down, you blend by giving it a zigzag motion like so. For my lash line, I'm going into the same color and I'm placing that in my lash line. Make sure your eyes are closed a bit, and make sure you position the brush in between your lashes and start going in and out, back and forth. Then after this, I am going ahead to fix my lashes, and I'll be right back.